Hi guys, welcome to Alpha Physiopelvic Care. My name is Anastasia Varova and I'm a pelvic floor physiotherapist. And today I will be talking about, the pelvic floor, what it is, its basic function, and the most important, today we'll be busting some myth about pelvic floor exercises, and namely Kegels. So if you watch this video until the end, you will find out what to do instead of classic Kegels exercises. So if you find it useful, press like, don't forget to subscribe, share this with your friends to spread the awareness of pelvic health, and let's begin. So first of all, pelvic floor. Pelvic floor is the actual floor of our pelvis, is the set of muscles that is covering the outlet of our pelvis. So if this is the pelvis, this is the outlet, and basically it's one big hole. So in order to keep our organs in place, support them, and to take control of our bodily functions, there are muscles covering the whole area in between your pubis, your coccyx, and your sitting bone. So everything is covered there with the muscles. Pelvic floor is not one single muscle. It's a set of quite many muscles, and it has two layers. One layer is the deeper one, and one layer is the superficial one. And the deeper layer is taken mainly, but not only, by so-called levator ani muscle. It's a very big muscle that is kind of blend of several muscles that sits between your pubic, again from the inside all the way to your coccyx, and gives you that nice support through your pelvic floor. This muscle is greatly involved in posture, in physiological functions such as toileting, bowel movement, also sexual function, and childbirth function, so in females. And then there are superficial muscles that also contains sphincters, again, that are controlling our main bodily functions, which is toileting, sexual function, and childbirth. So those are your superficial pelvic floor muscles. In this video, I'm not going to dwell greatly on the anatomy and go into huge details. I would like to give you the main points of it so you understand the function and how it's related to you as an owner of the pelvic floor, because every single human on this planet has a pelvic floor. Besides those muscles that is covering the outlet, on this model I don't have, but also muscles that surround pelvic floor, such as your glutes, such as your inner thigh muscles, such as your hamstrings, your abdominals. All these muscles are so-called synergists. Synergists are the muscles that helping pelvic floor to function. And whilst kind of in the beginning, when we start our rehabilitation or we start to familiarize our body with pelvic floor, we tend to isolate pelvic floor muscles first. In real life, they don't work exclusively by themselves. The rest of the muscles around are helping them out, and it's normal and it's okay, and it's greatly desired to do so. Even in some cases, the external other muscles are used as a helping tool to the pelvic floor muscles that might not be fully functioning, or there is an injury that prevents full function. All right, so if you might not have heard pelvic floor or a detailed description of it, you might have heard Kegel exercises, and Kegel exercises preventing you from, let's say, having weaker pelvic floor or peeing yourself, or maybe improving your intimate life. So Kegel exercises. Kegel exercises are actually named after a doctor whose name was Arnold Kegel, gynecologist, and I think we should all be really grateful to him, because he started to invent the concept of muscle training, of pelvic floor muscle training, mainly for women, so they don't suffer from incontinence, leaks. And also he invented those machines, perineometer, that was measuring the pressure of the muscle contraction. And these days we have kind of modernized version of these. So yeah, he did a lot for us, including inventing Kegel exercises. However, as the time progresses, the research into the whole movement rehabilitation progresses, and new research rises, there is a general consensus now that only Kegels, which is simply contracting and relaxing the muscle, or maybe contracting and holding them, is not enough. And here I rather show you an example so you can relate mainly why Kegel is not something that probably is very bad, but this is not the first choice, and why we probably replace it with something a little bit more functional. And here I like to give an example of the bicep. So imagine if my bicep is pelvic floor. This is my pelvic floor. So what Kegel does is basically contracting and relaxing my bicep. So I'm contracting and relaxing it. I might do it slower, I might do it faster, I might hold it a little bit. This is what I do. Okay? Now, how functional is this? I'm not sure. I can bend my arm, I can maybe scratch my shoulder. But if I, for example, need to go and pick up something, I need to think, okay, I need to pick up something. I need to turn my arm, to reach forward with my whole body, to make a plan and the decision to pick up something, like here my pelvic floor model, and maybe to lift it, okay, and return. So there are much more complex movement going on than simply contracting my pelvic floor. So same with the Kegels. Kegels are very isolated to the pelvic floor. Quite often people don't do them with the proper breathing, and we need breathing, we need that oxygen flowing through the muscles, and quite often they do it without much thinking. So it's almost like a little bit autopilot. And here comes the point where we do need this brain-body connection with our pelvic floor. So we improve generally the sensation, we improve mobility, and we understand our body and how it functions and how it feels, and at which point it's maybe more painful, or it's tighter, or we lose urine. So we need that body awareness that might be not completely present when you simply do fast Kegels or slow Kegels. Okay, so what to do instead then? Everybody is saying no Kegels. Now, if you've been doing Kegels, do not worry. It's still a good start. It's still a good start. And if you do them and you feel that you're contracting your pelvic floor, you're already half step forward from everyone who never ever did any pelvic floor exercises, even Kegels. They never heard about them, because you already are kind of having this brain-body connection, even if you do those simple contractions. Today, I would like to show you a very basic exercise, which I think is like the basis of the basis, the 101, which will help you to incorporate pelvic floor engagement, pelvic floor activation, as it calls now, like core activation, into any activity, into any exercise, either your daily activity, or if it's specific strengthening or mobility exercise, you can incorporate that principle into any. And unlike Kegels, sometimes people do it in random places, random times, and random positions, whenever they remember. Here, in the activation of pelvic floor, you have to have three main components. First of all, posture. Okay. Second of all, breathing. And third of all, awareness, presence. You need to be aware and present and thinking about what you're doing, even if it's a couple of minutes a day. You just need to focus on that. I'm here sitting on a quite hard chair, and this is for a reason, because now my pelvic floor is resting on a hard surface, and this surface will give me feedback, will give me signals to my brain that something is happening to it, because the hard surface is pressing against my pelvic floor. If you do this exercise on something soft, you might sink into that soft surface and might not feel it that much. Now, the exercises I'm going to show you are suitable for anyone, any gender. I will talk about a little bit more around the kind of using cues being anus, but I also will give you a bit of a cues that will be gender specific. Otherwise, anyone can do this exercise. So first of all, as I sit nice and tall, and I choose sitting position because it's really easiest one. We all sit quite a lot during the day. I imagine to pull myself through my hair, nice and tall, tall spine, sitting on my sitting bones. Those bones here at the bottom, at my bottom, I'm sitting on them and being aware of the area between those sitting bones, of this area. Okay, I'm sitting here. This is number one. So before I continue, I have my posture. I have my presence. Okay, I'm focused. Now I need to add breathing and the actual pelvic floor activation. We will talk about breathing a lot in details later. You will hear different types of breathing, and every single one of them has its time and its place. Even the ones that are maybe not the most optimal in the long term, still physiologically have their time and their place in certain situations. Today we will talk about the breathing that will recruit our diaphragm. Okay, we will use our diaphragm so it works together with our pelvic floor. So I want you to sit nice and tall. You can place your hands on the bottom of your ribs here. We're not breathing now into our neck or our chest or our stomach. We will breathe into our hands, into the sides of our lungs. Slow, deep breath. You can imagine that you're breathing through two straws that are in your nose, so you cannot take fast, strong breath. The straws are narrow, and you slowly have to pull that air and send it in the bottom of your lungs where your hands are resting. Let's begin. You do it for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then you just let it out. Breathe out. Feel your ribs dropping. Right now, your pelvic floor is not doing anything. You might feel something happens there. It's okay. But actively, right now, we're just breathing. And again, we breathe. And breathe out. You can practice it as long as you need. For the purpose of the video, I will cut the repetition short, but you can take your time. You can just practice the breathing. So breathing nice and deep, slowly into the bottom of your lungs. As we managed our breathing and as we mastered our breathing, we will now start to engage our pelvic floor on a breath out. So we breathe in. And as we breathe out, we think about this area between our sitting bones. It can be your anus. And think about drawing it in and lifting up. So feel things moving in between your sitting bones. In. Your coccyx kind of is getting pulled in. Everything goes to the middle and up. As you breathe in, you let everything drop nicely and relaxed. As you breathe out, engage your pelvic floor, pull your anus in, and of course you will notice that you feel also your deeper tummy here kicking in. It's okay, it's fine, absolutely normal. We want this as well happening. One thing I would like you to watch for, because we're just right now focusing our pelvic floor, we're making this brain-body connection. Shoulders relaxed, neck is relaxed, legs are relaxed, and no bottom squeeze. So we're not squeezing our bum, tensing our legs. We're sitting nice and straight. If somebody looks at us from the side, they will not understand what we are doing. We just breathe in. Let everything drop and relax. As we breathe out, we lift our anus. In, breathe out. Our ribs are dropping, so we zip from the bottom to the top. It's kind of a zipping up action. Breathe in, we unzip, and you should feel that drop in between your sitting bones. And breathe out. We lift. You can do this exercise 30-40 repetitions. The point here is we're not strengthening your pelvic floor. We're trying to find it. We're trying to activate it. We're trying to tell it to engage. We're trying to tell it to relax. We're making simple connection to our pelvic floor. The sensation might be strong. The sensation might be very, very faint. It doesn't matter right now at this point. So what I want you to do is to practice this daily, consciously, Let me know in the comments how it goes. If you have more questions, again, let me know in the comments. In the future topics, I will be giving you some more exercises and we will start incorporate what we learned here. Don't forget to share this with your friend, spread the pelvic floor awareness, and we will see you next time.